What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome back to the Sooner Surge for a basketball video. Appreciate you guys being subscribed to the channel. If you're not, go ahead and click the button. Also, turn on your notifications. And you see in the corner of the fan stop, www.thefanstop.com. Make sure when you go there, you use code SURGE. It'll give you 10% off your first 3 months. Sign up for the Shirt of the Month Club. Just great, officially licensed OU. If you're looking for OU merchandise, it's a place to go. It's officially licensed. It's great stuff. Check them out, thefanstop.com. A little basketball update as Oklahoma men's basketball win last night over Northwestern State in a game where, they struggled early, Jackson, but then the second half just poured it on. A great half of basketball from both ends, really, offensively and defensively. I mean, you go from scoring 28 in the first half to 45 in the second half and only allowed 23 points in the second half. So a good performance to close it out last night.
Yeah, Oklahoma, I feel like this might be a game in the beginning of the season as Oklahoma tends to progress. Not that who they played is a good opponent or anything, someone that's going to be nationally ranked, but this was a good defensive team that they played. And athletically, I wouldn't necessarily compare them to maybe a Big 12 team athletically, but they had some athletes on the court, and they gave Oklahoma a challenge in the first half. They played this zone. It was kind of like a 1-1-3-ish kind of defense, gave Oklahoma some trouble. And the guy that got it started towards the end of the first half was Duke Miles. You saw him. He started to hit some shots, get a little bit of momentum towards Oklahoma's side going into the half. Then they came out. Jaylen Moore and Jeremiah Fears, them two, we're going to mention their names a ton all year. And so they came out. They really controlled the second half. Jason, we're going to say this a lot this year, but Jeremiah Fears needs to be starting. I don't know why.
Wait. I hope we're not saying it much longer. He needs to start on Saturday.
Yeah, so. It makes no sense why he's not starting. Jeremiah Fears, in my opinion, is the most impactful player on this team. I wouldn't say he's the best player because I would give that to Jaylen Moore, but I think he's the most impactful player that Oklahoma has. With the way he can control the offense, control the tempo of the game, get steals and passing lanes, and do so many different things.
Well, he is the best player when you look at possible of NBA player. I think he's the highest on the team for sure. Jaylen Moore had a great game. He really got going in that second half. Love to see it. He was aggressive. I love his aggressiveness. They were throwing it to him on the block, and I don't care if there's one or two guys. He was going to go up strong and try to get fouled. But Jeremiah Fears, and I'm going to rhyme something here, Fears has a different gear. I mean, he can be so quick with the ball and just before you blinks all the way down to the rim with a layup. But what's weird about it, it's so quick, but it's not out of control. Specifically for an 18-year-old, it's really uncanny. I love to see it. So yeah, you got to get him starting. He really hasn't even got going from the 3-point line yet. Wait till he gets that going. I think it's going to be a whole nother dilemma for teams to try to handle him. But they were without Goodine last night. That hurt. They're still without Jaden Jones, so that's been an issue. But it was a good win for the Sooners because honestly, after that first half, I think a lot of people were wondering are they going to win this game? And if you go look in SEC play, there's been a lot of teams that you would expect to really dominate teams that have kind of struggled. I think that's normal with basketball at the beginning of the year. Yeah. And it doesn't matter really for Oklahoma men's basketball because we've seen them over the last 3 years be really good in the non-conference season, and then they struggle in conference. So they just got to keep building that and keep getting better. What I really like about this team so far is if you look at it through the first 2 games, I know it's a small sample size, but one of Porter's problems with his team so far at Oklahoma has been turnovers. Now, this team, you got a whole bunch of new guys, new guards, they're all new, and they only have 9 turnovers. That's impressive. And I think through the first 2 games, they've been pretty well with not turning the ball over. So I think that's a good sign for Oklahoma because that's where they've struggled some. So.
Yeah, and you talked about the injuries to guys like Jadon Jones, Bryson Goodine, and Jeff Wonkwa, if he can potentially come back this year. We won't know anything until he's reevaluated towards the December-January period of the season. But they need to get those wings back. The wing depth right now is lacking. Thankfully, early in the season, you're not playing the best of competition. So it's really not going to affect you right now. But hopefully, by the time you get into these tournaments or SEC, ACC play, you can have guys like Jadon Jones, Bryson Goodine back. Hopefully have the majority of your role players back around Jeremiah Fears and Jaylen Moore, who are more than likely going to be the two stars of the show this year. But Oklahoma, Jason, there's one more guy I want to talk about, and that's Mo Waggy. I think his athleticism, you can see it at times. He flashes, especially on the defensive end of the floor. I would like to see him potentially try and get into the post, maybe use his athleticism to drop step someone, sometimes get confident in the offensive game, get comfortable. But last night, I thought that he was the best center. I thought that Sam Godwin he played an okay game, but Sam Godwin, the first two games, he hasn't looked maybe as comfortable or as good as I would have expected him. But I think as the season progresses, we'll see Sam Godwin get better and figure out his role within this team.
Well, Godwin still had double digits in rebounds, which is great. He's a rebounding machine. He always will. I think Wade only had a couple rebounds. So, I still think Godwin was good. He just wasn't really impactful other than the rebounds. That's the only issue, which he will be in more games, I think. I think we'd be remiss not to mention, I think it was nice to see Kobe Elvis knock down some threes. And then Glenn Taylor, to me, down the stretch, made some massive plays. You had the baseline drive for the bucket, and then you had the three-pointer at the top of the key. Huge plays last night for the game. So kudos to him. One thing that has to get better for this team, though, I think as the season goes on, is three-point shooting. I think they were like 28% last night. They got to get better as a team. I know they were missing Goodine, but got to get more consistent from the three-point line. I know it's 2 games in. Hey, and they play Saturday against Stetson at home. Make sure you get out there and support them. I'll be there. I know, Jackson, you'll be there. Let's get out there and support this team as they play Stetson. Tomorrow, though, OU women back in action against Western Carolina for the field trip game, where students from all over elementary schools, junior, will all be there in attendance at 10:30 a.m. Should be a great crowd. I love these games when they do this. I think it's great. But the big news out of OU women's basketball is they don't have just an SEC player of the week. They got the AP National Player of the Week in Raegan Beers. It's the first time that's happened at Oklahoma since Courtney Paris. Wow, that's crazy, but what a performance she's been already through the first 2 games. I am so pumped to watch her, at Oklahoma this year. It's going to be amazing, Jackson.
Well, there's a reason, Jason, why she was the number 1 player in all of the transfer portal. There's a reason why you see it. Her first week playing for Oklahoma, gets a double-double in both games, is just dominant. Looks like the comparison, I've made the comparison that will be made as the season progresses. And probably as Oklahoma tends to get more national coverage as the year progresses. And Courtney Paris, Raegan Beers, to me, she is the difference in this team, making a Sweet 16 to potentially having a chance to make a Final Four. I think she's that good of a player. She can impact the game on the defensive side of the floor, the offensive side of the floor. And she's going to help out Skylar Vann, Sahara Williams, Peyton Verhulst, players like that so much throughout the season with just all the different things that she can do. And something that I feel like she needs to do more of and trust in more is shoot the open threes when she has them, because we've seen her knock down 1 or 2. She looks comfortable shooting threes, so she needs to trust that more and do that more, because that would just make her more of an offensive threat and make Oklahoma's offense even more lethal than what it already is.
She's got moves galore down low. Spin move, whatever you want to say. She's got it all. She shot over 70% last week in the game. Yeah. That's unbelievable. And then she was the first Oklahoma player to have over 20 points and 14 rebounds in back-to-back games.
Yeah.
In the last 16 years. That's crazy. They haven't had a player like this, Jackson. And I'm going to do a weird comparison. I don't like doing comparisons like this, but I'm going to do it. Okay. Anyway, if you go, this is different because it's men and women. Okay. But I'm going to do Gonzaga, Drew Timme. Okay. His shooting percentage was always off the charts. He would put people in spin cycles down low. He had moves like crazy. They couldn't stop him. He shot the ball really good, would shoot it from the outside. And I know it's a weird comparison but the way she scores, she's got moves. She's a high percentage shooter. She can shoot the three. She can pass, all that. I think I kind of see a little bit of that. I mean, so I know that might be a crazy comparison for people, but for people that don't watch as much women's basketball, I think it's a good comparison. Just because, he wasn't the most athletic player.
No.
And she's not the most athletic player in every game. She's not going to be, but she is a dang good player. And she, I'm just wondering, Jackson, I mean, she's got over 1,000 career points now. She's only played like 63 games. I mean, what level can she get to? I think sky's the limit for her and for this team, Jackson, because they're ranked number 9 now. You run everything through her. You got shooters on the outside. I mean, I just think, man, she has immediately with the transfer portal made Oklahoma I contender, man.
Yeah, well,
I think it's on the horizon.
Yeah, I haven't watched a ton of other girls teams this year in basketball, but I mean, I wonder if like where she ranks among the bigs in all college basketball. Like, there probably is an argument that she's the best pure center in women's basketball. Right?
Yeah. And then there's a reason UConn wanted her.
Yeah. You think, and
they've had some pretty good centers,
Yeah. And so, I mean, outside of South Carolina, Jason, who's just a train with Dawn Staley leading them, I don't think there's a team as an Oklahoma fan that I don't think Oklahoma could be in a game with right now.
Well, I mean, you're right. And the thing is, when you have a player like Raegan Beers, it really nullifies a lot of things when you go up against teams like that can just, and specifically South Carolina, who likes to play big ball and get in there and pound it around. You got to have somebody like Beers to compete, and they do. That's the thing; they can compete because they have her. I said that Drew Timme. Another comparison, I was just thinking, women's basketball, Rebecca Lobo. Now I know Rebecca Lobo is one of the greatest to ever do it. Okay, so don't come at me with, oh my gosh, you're comparing. I'm not putting that expectation on. I'm just saying, when you think of like dominant players in the post, I think Beers is that. She's a dominant player in the post, but can also step outside. So what an honor for Raegan Beers. And go ahead.
I was going to say, Jenny Baranczyk being able to land Raegan Beers, that's Jason, I feel like that was almost a monumental thing for Oklahoma women's basketball to get a player that caliber. Because with Jenny, they're slowly starting to become more nationally recognized. You see them in for some of the top recruits in the country, like Akili Parks, who's a 5-star, one of the best guards in all of the nation.
Yeah.
And just them landing a freshman in last year's class like Zaya Van, them having Keziah Lofton and Brooklyn Stewart signed or committed already in the 2025 class. What Jenny's doing, I think if Joe C is able to keep her around, which I have the expectation he's going to do everything he can to, I think Oklahoma women's basketball is going to be on a run and maybe potentially get to a national championship or win one under Jenny within the next few years. You never know what can happen with just how this game's changing.
Yeah, and first things first, they need to make a run in the tournament, get to an Elite Eight, get to Sweet 16, Elite Eight, Final Four, and then see what happens. But they're on their way with the squad they have this year, and specifically with Raegan Beers. Just congratulations to Raegan Beers. That's an honor. So if you can get out there tomorrow during the day, get off work 10:30, get out there, support them. Like I said, great. They're fun to watch. They put up points. They play defense, all of it. So get out there and support them. Thanks for your support on the channel, everybody. We appreciate it. We're going to continue to bring you coverage of Sooner sports, all of them, basketball, softball, you name it. We'll have coverage on it. So we appreciate you subscribing to the channel. Make sure you turn on your notifications. We'll talk to you next time.